Undertale needs no introduction. It's one of the single greatest games ever made, and technically a holy relic. With a combination of incredible music, characters, and writing, this game changed the lives of millions 10 years ago. Mine especially. It's one of my favorites. But the last time I played Undertale, my voice sounded like a dog toy on a cheese grater.
The shadow of the ruins looms above, filling you with determination.
So I wanted to replay Undertale for the first time in a decade, to celebrate its anniversary, see if it was as good as I remember, and try to relive some of the fun I had as a kid, only to find out that Undertale as an adult is a completely different experience. One I will never forget. I knew this line was coming. Oh my god, it's been so long, dude. Holy crap. The moment I dusted off and opened Undertale after so long, I was hit with a huge wave of nostalgia, a feeling almost like going back to your hometown after moving away. It's the same game and nothing about it is different, but at the same time, everything is different. You especially. The last time I opened Undertale, I was 11 years old. Now that I'm 20, my brain instantly started to pick up on something I never had before. Undertale is really deceptively simple. You play as a human who falls into an underground world of monsters. A simple plot hook told through pixel art and soundtrack to an equally pixelated yet very important song, Once Upon a Time. Waking up, you find yourself in a very simple environment. An illuminated bed of golden flowers in a mostly dark space with an almost unsightly looking character in the middle. You, the kid from the cutscene. This opening is iconic, and I was genuinely excited for what was to come. There was so much I had forgotten and never realized, especially when meeting Flowey again. Even now, Flowey still seems like a generic tutorial character with his suspiciously friendly demeanor and utterly grating theme.
Someone ought to teach you how things work around here. I guess little old me will have to do.
Meeting him introduces the fight screen, and Flowey says to get stronger, you need LV. Not levels, but love, which is spread in the ever-infamous white friendliness pellets. Then of course you take damage and he reveals his true self, saying the iconic line,
"In this world, it's kill or be killed."
Or on the flip side, you avoid the pellets, progressively annoying him more and more, even pitching his music down until he talks directly to you, the player.
You know what's going on here, don't you? You just wanted to see me suffer.
He goes to kill you, but suddenly you're unexpectedly saved by Toriel, a clear exact opposite to Flowey, who comforts you immediately both in character and music. What took me 10 years to notice was how this entire segment shows us that Undertale is different by using two extreme opposites. A kind, motherly monster who saves you, and a charismatic evil flower who deceives you, but also reacts to all of your actions. Whether it's avoiding attacks, speeding through his dialogue, or even deleting and starting new save files, he notices. What to expect throughout the entirety of Undertale: that monsters are characters, the music matters, and your actions actually have effects has been conveyed to us while also introducing our soul, the most important thing in Undertale, all in the first 3 minutes of the game. As a kid, that shit never even clicked. I just thought this sound effect was funny. That subversion of expectations through seemingly simple stuff continues throughout all of Undertale. It's part of what made it so famous, and nothing reminded me of that more than the ruins. Meeting Toriel and discovering the ruins as a kid, it felt mysterious and unknown, but also like the start of something great. But seeing Toriel and re-entering the ruins 10 years later, it felt like a hug from a close friend you haven't seen in a lifetime. Oh my god, man. Believe, man, oh my god. Dude, this is such a, oh my god. It had been so long since I had been here, and as a kid, I never really appreciated it that much. It was just the purple place with Toriel. But as I was guided by her, introduced to basic game mechanics, and eventually able to explore my own, I came to realize now just how flippin' genius the ruins are. The ruins act as a tutorial for Undertale, hence Toriel's name, but it never feels like one. Where most games would have billions of pop-ups appear telling you what to do or how to do it or where the fuck to go, Undertale doesn't. doesn't. The game knows you're going to explore and interact with things, and uses that to its advantage. It subtly introduces you to save points, puzzles, and mechanics by just letting you play.
Vegetoid cackles softly. Dinner. You pat your stomach. Vegetoid offers a healthy meal. Eat your greens. Oh, wait. Oh my god, that's so clever. What? I didn't know it did that.
I mean, the most iconic line in the game comes from randomly interacting with a save point.
Shadow of the Ruins looms above, filling you with determination.
Even now, The Ruins is still such a refreshing opener that continues the trend started by Flowey. It shows how Undertale is different by twisting expectations and making fun of video game tropes. Like how Toriel uses yellow paint to point out the way forward, or literally holds your hand through a puzzle she deems too dangerous. It took me a decade to realize that this was making fun of tutorials and not just showing how Toriel is a really nice person. It's the perfect example of how Undertale uses one moment to do multiple things. But where the ruins really shine is when Toriel gives you the cell phone and leaves you on your own, expecting you to stay put, which you obviously don't, and the ruins are open to exploration. What finally clicked for me was that in any other game, the ruins would be a dark, distraught area filled with crumbling walls and dastardly goons. But here in Undertale, it's bright, colorful, and filled with monsters that aren't evil. They just live here. I especially love how Undertale revels in its cleverness here, while also subtly setting up iconic story beats and running gags, like Napstablook, the spider bake sale, the cheese stuck to the table, and most importantly, Toriel's butterscotch pie. It's a perfect introduction to Undertale and what the game is gonna be like, but it's also the most pivotal point, because it's where you decide what ending you're gonna get. One of the many neutral ones, the true pacifist ending, or the ever-infamous genocide route. It's here in the ruins that you're introduced to the act and mercy mechanics, where Toriel tells you, while you are in a fight, strike up a friendly conversation. Stall for time. I will come to resolve the conflict. She doesn't even mention how to fight, and whether you listen to her or not decides the fate of your entire playthrough. I still refuse to do any other route than true pacifist, okay? I've never killed Toriel, and I never will. Especially now. Because after taking my time to explore the ruins and all of its clever gags,
Stay on the path. Dude, are you serious?
I finally, for the first time in a decade, stepped into Toriel's home again. And that feeling of being hugged by an old friend shifted into something else.
Oh, man. Oh, dude. Holy crap, what a nostalgia wave. Oh my god, dude, my chest hurts from that.
Toriel and her home are supposed to evoke a feeling of being the safest you've ever felt in your life, which is accomplished very well. The warm, saturated colors, her reading by the fireplace, and the soft music playing, it's all so welcoming. But now, I can only describe what I felt. It was like walking through your grandparents' house as an adult and seeing just how short the once towering countertops really are. Easily placing your hands atop something you once dreamt of touching. Like I said, it physically hurt, and after interacting with the mirror, I'm still surprised I didn't lose it here. It's you. It's you. God. I'm gonna cry, man. I knew it was coming later on and even stalled by exploring the house again. But I had an entire game to re-experience first. No matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't stay home forever. Toriel's boss battle is the ruins' final example of subverting expectations and shows us how fighting in Undertale is more than just combat, it's storytelling, something I never fully realized until now. Toriel's personality is shown through her dialogue and her attacks. They're not random and all over the place, they're controlled, challenging, and fair. She's not just a kind individual, but a firm one. She shows tough love by fighting you to prove that you can survive the underground. Like all of Undertale's bosses and characters, her personality is simultaneously shown in her battle theme, Heartache. It just reeks of confliction. She clearly doesn't want to fight you, but still does anyway, until you keep sparing her. It's exactly what she taught you to do. It takes more strength to not fight someone and survive than it does to fight back. Toriel knows this and tells us of Asgore, the king of monsters, and how if we want to go home, we'll have to face him. She then admits her fears and flaws before telling us to never return. But not before one last hug. Oh, man. This moment is so raw. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. Even now, it still feels so final, despite being just the start. That painful feeling of seeing Toriel hug you, walk away, and then turn around for a moment in hesitation is just so real. It's something we've all experienced before. As an adult, the Ruins do a great job of setting the expectation of what Undertale is gonna be. It's just so freaking good in balancing humor, teasing emotional storytelling, and introducing the entire concept of Undertale. But now it's time for the funny skeleton men. Snowdin is without a doubt the most iconic location in Undertale for a crap ton of reasons, even a decade later. It's the first non-tutorial area, every Undertale animation took place here, and of course, the conveniently shaped lamp.
Quick, behind that conveniently shaped lamp. That's right, I forgot about the
But we can all agree that the biggest reason is its focus on characters and constantly instilling that they're more than just monsters. They're personalities. It's no mistake that the first character we meet outside the Ruins is Sans, a skeleton. Traditionally a terrifying monster and overused enemy, here in Undertale he's lazy, sarcastic, and still funny as hell, despite his unnerving introduction. The same goes for Papyrus, where much like the opening to Undertale, he's an exact opposite to his brother Sans. Loud, tall, and ambitious, but also still funny as hell. Despite their overpopularity when Undertale was at its peak, these two are still great characters and had me crying with laughter. They feel like real brothers. The entirety of Snowdin Town does the same thing with its residents, and I was genuinely so happy to see it again. Snowdin! Oh my god! Da-bum-bum. Oh my god, dude! Holy crap! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Dude, oh my god! I feel so fuzzy. Snowdin Town is still such a pleasure to be in and showcases how much life there really is in the underground. Every single character here has unique designs, lines of dialogue, and in my case, somewhat distinct voices. Hi, welcome to Snowdin. I can't remember the last time I saw a fresh face around here.
This town doesn't have a mayor, but if there's ever a problem, the skeleton will tell a fish lady about it. It's politics.
Everyone is always laughing and cracking jokes trying to forget our minor crisis. Dryness, crowding, lack of sunlight. I would join them, but I'm just not very funny.
Those things alone make it abundantly clear that the residents of Snowdin Town aren't just monsters made of pixels, they're actual individuals. Even the family of literal rocks feel like people. Exploring and experiencing all of this after so long, Grillbees, the Library Bee, Monster Kid, I was falling in love with Undertale all over again and realizing just how fucking funny this game still is. Sans constantly rage baiting his brother, every interaction with the various guard dogs, and oh my god, literally anything with Papyrus.
That book's one of my favorites. Advanced puzzle construction for critical minds. That next book's another one of my favorites. Peekaboo with Fluffy Bunny.
The ending always gets me. I used to see Papyrus as nothing but funny skeleton number 2, and now he's still funny, but there's so much more to him I never noticed. Papyrus is the closest thing Snowdin has to an antagonist, and even then, he's barely one. At first, he seems like a mustache-twirling villain with never-ending, needlessly complicated schemes to capture you, but over time, a much more interesting personality is revealed. He's an overly confident guy with ambitious dreams of getting into the Royal Guard and having tons of friends. He's built up to be this almost doofus-like character until his fight reveals he's actually pretty clever. His faded blue attack is hyped for all of Snowdin, only for it to do nothing. until his actual blue attack comes in and completely changes how we play the game. His fight also shows how much of an actual nice guy he is. He clearly doesn't want to fight you, but pretends like he does so he seems cool, even choosing to spare you first. Afterwards is the famous date with Papyrus, which is still one of the funniest segments in the entire game. Let's be friends.
Really? You want to be friends with me? Well then, I guess I can make an allowance for you. Well, we haven't even had our first date. I've already managed to hit the friend zone.
The whole date shows off even more of his personality, getting through that loud, overly confident and ambitious shell to reveal a person who doesn't care what anyone thinks and deeply loves those that matter to him. It's out of naivety or just blind hope, but still, he's a genuinely good dude who sees the best in people. I feel like we've all known someone like this, whether it be a friend, family member, or hell, even you. Plus, his race car bed is freaking awesome, okay? No one can convince me otherwise. Seeing everything here as an adult, though, I find it really interesting how Snowdin diverts our expectations of what monsters usually are by focusing on what they actually are. While that whole concept is done effortlessly here through humor, Undertale is far more than just a funny game. Nothing proves that more than Waterfall. Waterfall is roughly the midpoint of Undertale, and now that I'm older, I realize it isn't just the visually stunning area with Undyne, Napstablook, and Temmie Village, but it's where the tone of the game dramatically shifts. The first important event in Waterfall is a conversation with Sans, showing just how powerful he is by casually teleporting us to Grillby's and freezing time when asking about a talking flower.
So you know all about it. Well, Papyrus told me something interesting the other day. Sometimes, when no one else is around, a flower appears and whispers things to him. Flattery, advice, encouragement, predictions. Weird, huh?
It's a serious turn for a character that's been pretty comedic so far, and once again is the same formula from the first 3 minutes of Undertale. It and the introduction of Undyne are two extremes that set the stage for what's to come. While Snowdin was cheerful with humor around every corner, Waterfall is serious and emanates melancholic dread. There's a deep, indescribable sadness here. I sensed it as a kid, but it's so prevalent now. Not only in the painfully hopeless music, but the environment itself. The dark, contrasting color scheme, the pouring rain that's just cave drippings, and the various interactable glyphs across Waterfall. These ancient glyphs slowly tell the story of the war between monsters and humans, revealing it was because of the monsters' power and humans' lack thereof to absorb souls like ours to become extremely powerful beings. Later ones delve even further, detailing the sheer sorrow of monsters from being trapped underground. I vaguely remember the basics of these glyphs, but reading them all now, they're really dark and say so much with so little. The same goes for the famous echo flowers. While the glyphs of Waterfall explain ancient history, the echo flowers show the modern effect by repeating the last sound they heard. They speak the hopelessness of a trapped civilization and are one of the best examples of environmental storytelling I've ever seen. The wishing room flowers that speak of how monsters used to wish upon stars, but now all they have are sparkling stones. Two sisters wishing they could see the real stars someday, or the best usage of these flowers, the passing conversation.
So, don't you have any wishes to make?
Just one, but it's kind of stupid.
Don't say that. Come on. I promise I won't laugh.
If I say my wish, you promise you won't laugh at me?
Of course I won't laugh.
Someday, I'd like to climb this mountain we're all buried under. Standing under the sky, looking at the world all around. That's my wish. Hey, you said you wouldn't laugh at it.
Sorry. It's just funny. It's my wish too. God, why am I tearing up at that?
I cannot believe I forgot about this. Maybe 10 years ago I saw this as just background text filling out an area, but now it finally hit me. The seriousness of Waterfall is real. Just from the text alone, we can infer this conversation is between two kids. Children are supposed to be naive little shits, yet here they are, knowing they're trapped underground, making wishes at fake stars. It's so painfully sad, and yet such effectively simple storytelling. It's the same when Undyne is first introduced. The lighting itself changes around her and we're bathed in shadow, something we haven't seen before. That alone tells us that things are about to get serious. Even though I knew it was coming later, that simple visual change is still so chilling. This intense character who has been subtly hyped up since Snowdin is now hunting us. And by extension, Monster Kid.
Yo, did you see the way she was staring at you? That was awesome. I'm so jealous. What did you do to get her attention? Come on, let's go watch her beat up some bad guys.
This guy is still easily one of my favorite characters. And now, so is one I never cared for much as a kid. Undyne. For all of Waterfall, she's seen as this super intense antagonist who hunts you down until she literally collapses. But that entire facade shatters the moment Papyrus invites you to hang out and try to be friends with her. Because the first thing we hear as we arrive outside her home is Undyne's muffled piano playing. It's ambiguously beautiful. For someone as intense as her, this seems so out of place. Just like the beginning of Waterfall, it's a dramatic shift for a character we thought we knew. The hangout only reveals how deeply passionate she is about everything she does, defending the innocent, staying loyal to her friends, and always being true to herself. I mean, she puts so much effort into cooking food that she literally burns her house down. She's genuinely a deeply interesting character, and throughout the rest of my playthrough, only continued to grow on me. As a kid, Sans was my favorite character because he was funny and mysterious. But now, Undyne has taken that spot because she's just so caring, complex, and real. She's someone I would want to be friends with. Like the entirety of Waterfall, Undyne shows us just how deep the storytelling of Undertale can and will be. It's not just full of jokes and laughs, but genuinely thought-provoking moments, all with incredible music. Seeing the distant castle with Monster Kid is one such moment. So much is said with absolutely no dialogue. You, a human, stand with your friend Monster Kid, two members of races that are supposed to hate each other, illuminated by stars and pelted with rain, both that, much like your hatred, aren't real, and stare at your journey's end side by side. This scene, and everything else here, cements Waterfall as my favorite place in Undertale. I could literally talk about it for hours, and I've still glossed over so much. The Mad Dummy, the bird that carries you, Onion San, all the monsters you battle, the wet statue, Gerson, and the Deltarune. There is so much iconic stuff here. While Snowdin had me falling in love, Waterfall had me head over heels for this damn game. But just like the ruins, I couldn't stay here forever. I had to move on to the most divisive place in Undertale. Hotland is a complicated area, first and foremost. I think it's a safe bet that most Undertale fans genuinely love and utterly despise it. At first, Hotland is pretty interesting. It's where we're introduced to Alphys, the nerdy and anxiety-ridden royal scientist of the underground who's been secretly watching our entire journey, and whose theme might sound a little familiar. I only found out about this recently. It's absolutely adorable how much these two secretly love each other. Upon meeting her, Alphys warns us of Metaton, a robot she created to be a charming and charismatic TV star, but accidentally turned into a human killing machine. Again, it's two opposite extremes. Mettaton, who antagonizes us throughout Hotland with various forms of entertainment media, and Alphys, who helps us every step of the way, sneaking quiz answers, upgrading our phone to have a jetpack and bomb defusal kit, and introducing us to the yellow attack. All that stuff is really fun and entertaining. Even Alphys's constant status updates and phone calls, I found myself thoroughly enjoying, even though a ton of people don't.
Just realized I didn't watch Undyne fight the human. Sad face.
That's another one. Updated status.
Well, I know she's unbeatable. I'll ask her about it later.
Happy face. Alphys update. For now, I gotta call it the human and guide them. Which brings me to what people hate about Hotland. The constant puzzles everywhere. Vent puzzles, laser puzzles, shooting puzzles. Getting around Hotland itself is a puzzle with all the fucking conveyor belts and elevators everywhere. Doing them the first and even second time is fine. But having to do a puzzle almost every time you want to go somewhere or backtrack a little bit, it gets tiring after a while. That and the noticeable increase in difficulty. When I was a kid playing Undertale, I was dying constantly, especially to Undyne. While playing again though, I hadn't died a single time. Until I met the humble Pyrope.
I'm fleeing. Not enough for you. No, are you kidding me? The first death I had. Are you serious?
Combined, these two things will make Hotland despicable. But on the flip side, the characters, music, and the general vibe are absolutely unmatched. The entire area has this looming sense of finality. You spent the whole game surrounded by friends, and here you are at the threshold of the end by yourself. It's oppressively lonely here. After Hotland, you'll finally meet Asgore, the king of monsters, who's been mentioned time and time again since the ruins. Then you'll cross the barrier and end your journey. Which leads me to something I sensed now, but never did as a kid. The absurd amount of underlying self-doubt here. Obviously in the characters, but in the game design as well. This is something I personally haven't seen anyone talk about before. I'm completely spitballing here, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but hear me out. Firstly, Hotland is in between two masterfully crafted areas, Waterfall and New Home. It's the penultimate location before Undertale's incredible final act. As we know, the music in Hotland is at its best, but the gameplay itself is sluggish. It's full of great moments in between recycled and rehashed puzzles, and an environment that honestly just kind of blends together. I absolutely adore this game, but there were times in Hotland when I was just bored. I found myself only wanting to get to the next Mettaton show, the fight with Muffet, and see the relationship of the two knights, where in other areas, I reveled in exploration and taking my time. I wouldn't be shocked if while making Undertale, Hotland was the part where Toby Fox began to doubt his game development skills. I think it's no surprise that we return here in the true pacifist route. It's Toby making up for the past, now having realized, yeah, he's good at this, and delivers arguably one of the best sections in Undertale, where Alphys overcomes her self-doubt and literal demons. It mirrors what Toby was potentially experiencing. All of Hotland is like getting cold feet before a big event, a final act, for example. You overthink, doubt your clearly proven abilities, and it shows in your performance. Maybe that oppressive loneliness we feel in Hotland is because it's what Toby was feeling while developing it. And the only friend we talk to is over the phone while we constantly solve puzzles and problems. If that doesn't sound like game development, I don't know what does. Like I said, spitballing. There's zero proof of this anywhere, but that's where my brain went while playing Hotland as an adult. I think what proves this point even more is the core, a very brief yet extremely important section in Undertale. While technically a part of Hotland, the core and MTT Resort act as a wrap-up to this last arc of Undertale before our journey to the barrier ends. It's where that self-doubt I mentioned earlier begins to slowly taper off. The core is a massive power plant, visible from Hotland, that learns from and improves upon the mistakes that made that area so infamous. It's one of the most complicated, fast-paced, and tightly crafted areas in Undertale. But it doesn't start like that. Instead, it calmly begins outside Mettaton's hotel, MTT Resort, where Sans is waiting to take us to dinner and have one last conversation. He teleports us in and a soft, almost noir-like song starts playing, titled It's Raining Somewhere Else. What I now realize is a variation of Sans' theme. It's a perfect track for one of the most famous interactions in Undertale, a genuinely serious conversation with Sans. The dialogue here peels back layers with each line. Sans might not actually be from the underground or this timeline. He knows Toriel and promised her he would protect a human if they showed up, and he also threatens our life.
That promise I made to her. You know what would have happened if she hadn't said anything? Buddy, you'd be dead where you stand. Hey, lighten up, bucko. I'm just joking with you.
Just like the conversation at Grillby's, it's an intense shift showing just how deep Sans truly is and how close we are to the end. There's a lot more I could say, but over the course of a decade, this whole conversation has been torn and analyzed to shreds. The rest of the hotel is essentially a buffer before the actual core. It's filled with interesting characters, a fun theme, and a shop with the most realistic depiction of a minimum wage job.
I'm getting on in here, so let me give you some advice, little buddy. You still got time. Don't live like me. I'm 19 years old. I've already wasted my entire life. Oh my god. Painfully real, man. I get it.
Once I left out the back door, though, the finality of things really set in. I knew there was still a decent chunk of game left, but I didn't want it to end. I stood on the threshold of the core, stalling by thinking about all the fun I'd had. The wind was blowing in my hair and melancholy burning in my chest. And I continued forward anyway. The core is a maze of electric blue circuitry, red wiring, and a haze of ozone, with an absolute banger of a song. So good, it overrides the battle theme here. Our goal is an elevator that leads directly to Asgore, and the only line of contact we have is Alphys, who, after repeatedly failing to guide us correctly, is consumed with anxiety and leaves us on our own. But we continue forward out of determination. The monsters here are a variety of hired mercenaries, the most notable of which are variations of ones we met in the ruins. Like us, they've been on their own journey and our paths have crossed once again. We're changed individuals, but still ourselves at the core. To get to the elevator, we can either fight our way to a switch or solve one puzzle. Unlike Hotland, the puzzles here don't slow down progression or overstay their welcome. It was genuinely so refreshing after hundreds of Steam vents. Oh my god. But where the core really shines is when we face Mettaton. It begins with a plot twist, one that still caught me off guard. Mettaton actually isn't a human killing machine, but genuinely someone who wants to be an entertainer. Alphys was the one behind all the puzzles and Mettaton's encounters because she wanted to write herself as a hero, rather than the anxious mess that she is. It's why she always conveniently saved us. Mettaton got bored of the plan and went against her when we arrive at the core. Now he wants to actually fight and give the audience a phenomenal show. With a push of his button, one of the best boss battles in Undertale begins.
Oh, yes.
Oh my. If you flip my switch, that can only mean one thing. Lucky for you, I've been aching to show this off for a long time. So, as thanks, I'll give you a handsome reward. I'll make your last living moments absolutely beautiful.
Instead of just being a normal battle, the fight with Mettaton in his new body is decided by live TV ratings. They rise with drama, poses, and eating on-brand food, and fall when things slow down or stop being tense. Playing it again for the first time in forever, it's still so creative and over the top. I genuinely love this fight and its theme so much. Like most boss battles in Undertale, it achieves both great gameplay and awesome storytelling. Mettaton reveals his plan is to take our soul and cross the barrier. Not only to protect humanity from Asgore, but so he can become an icon for millions. I realize now it's a goal that mirrors Mettaton's biggest flaw, his desperate need for attention. That same flaw is even visualized in his attacks against us. Everything he does is flashy and attention-grabbing, attacking with his legs, robots that blow kisses, and a killer disco ball. He can't even sit still when not attacking us and constantly changes poses to keep people's attention. He even straight up asks us to write an essay about his best characteristics.
What do you love most about Mettaton? No, X or Z. Nice. You got a gold star. Mettaton is saving your essay for future use.
In the end, this flaw is what leads to his defeat. He's so focused on being the center of attention, he lets his soul out to attack us, not realizing it's his weak spot. It's only after his limbs fall off and the ratings break records that he takes calls from viewers and realizes just how much he matters to the underground. While humans have tons of celebrities, Mettaton's the only star monsters have. He changes his plan and chooses to remain underground. It finally hit me how much of an emotional moment and solid character development this is for someone who's been kind of a narcissist until now.
You've been a great audience.
Oh, man, why does that hit? Why does that hit so hard? Even now, I'm not sure why this moment hit me as hard as it did. Maybe all the years I've spent making content had something to do with it, but his character development was so unexpectedly relatable. It was a good indication of Undertale's tone shifting once again. When Mettaton powers down, Alphys confronts us and reveals she had lied. We were told by her that to exit the underground, we just had to make it to the barrier alive with our soul intact. In reality, you need a human and a monster soul to leave. If Asgore doesn't kill us, then we have to kill him. Even though I remembered this twist, it still hit like a truck, especially after sparing every single monster I had come across, even Pyrope. It's from this point that the music just stops. The only sound is a notably long elevator hum and our own conflicted thoughts. Then we arrive at our destination, the most emotional place in Undertale, especially after a whole decade. I didn't want to leave that elevator. I stood there for a solid minute, just staring at my screen, knowing what was coming. But just like I had throughout the entirety of Undertale, I had to move forward and finally enter the capital of the underground, New Home. It's a city that has no color, no music, and no monsters. It's just an empty, sprawling, gray duplicate of the ruins. I had forgotten how heavy and isolating it was here, up until the moment that made Undertale a truly next-level game, a moment that experiencing again after 10 years will be ingrained into my memory forever.
I feel a heaviness in my chest. I feel heavy, dude. God damn it. God damn it. God damn it.
This moment, seeing the grayscale copy of Toriel's home from the very beginning of Undertale, revealed to the song titled Undertale, instantly destroyed me.
God, dude. I can't quit. I
can't even begin to describe how I felt here. It doesn't help that my notes only say, I can't stop crying. Just thinking about this moment now, I get choked up. Even though I knew from the start I'd get here, it affected me harder than it ever did as a kid, and I couldn't figure out why. Exploring the house only made it worse, as I found heart-wrenching details I had completely forgotten. Shelves full of photo albums and scrapbooks, a reading chair that never gets used, and a trash can full of crumpled up recipes for butterscotch pie. I still didn't know why, but I was a mess. Walking to the other side of the house only revealed more I had forgotten. A children's room with dusty toys, the heart locket that says best friends forever, and a family photograph where everyone is smiling. In Asgore's bedroom, a journal with wet ink that only says nice day today. Macaroni art of a flower that says for King Dad, and a pink hand-knit sweater that says Mr. Dad Guy. At the end of it all, saved for last, was something I'd been expecting since before I even began playing Undertale again.
Despite everything, it's still... I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, dude. I knew this shit was coming.
Despite everything, it's still you. A line so synonymous with Undertale that everyone has seen or heard it, and yet 10 years later, here I was, a sobbing, snotty mess. I felt like I was seeing my reflection in an old photograph of myself. I stared at this line for what felt like an eternity, vision blurred from tears that just wouldn't stop. And I finally realized why. The moment I entered New Home and Undertale started playing, I was suddenly a kid again. I wasn't a nearly 21-year-old adult, stressed out from work and constant expectations, but I was my 11-year-old self, sitting in the computer room, probably wearing Minecraft pajamas, not having a care in the world except for playing what would become one of my favorite games. I was reminded of just how much this game meant to me as a kid, and probably a lot of you watching too. For me, it was one of my favorite YouTubers, Jacksepticeye, playing Undertale after its release in 2015 that introduced me to this silly yet deeply emotional game where no one had to die.
Help me!
I was hooked from the start. I watched playthroughs and animations, read fan comics, watched fan dubs of the same comics, religiously listened to the soundtrack and its many now outdated remixes. I just couldn't get enough Undertale, and neither could the internet. I had developed this immense love for the game and knew everything about it, despite not even owning Undertale until I convinced my parents to buy it for me in 2016. When playing for the first time all those years ago, my love for the characters, the soundtrack, and the entire game grew tenfold. And now I realize, Undertale meant the world to me as a kid. This seemingly simple game about a human in a world of monsters showed me it was okay to be weird. It was okay to be kind, and it's okay to love things. Undertale changed not only my life, but the lives of so many people. And here I was as an adult, playing the same game and utterly in love with it again like I and millions of others used to be. But I haven't been entirely honest with you. When I first opened Undertale after 10 years, there was one thing in particular I remembered. My last memory of Undertale, in fact. Remember earlier when I said I refused to do anything but the true pacifist ending? Well, before I uninstalled the game, however many years ago, I deleted that ending. The best possible route where no one dies, and began a genocide run. The save where you kill every single character. But the thing is, I never finished or deleted it. So when I reinstalled Undertale after a decade, I expected that same save file to still be sitting there, ominously waiting. But it wasn't. After 10 years, it was gone. Undertale, a game famous for remembering your actions, had forgotten mine. But I hadn't. I remember viciously clearing out the ruins. I remember tearing the snowman apart. I remember slaughtering Toriel. But I can't remember why. Why did I kill the characters I loved? Why did I delete their happy ending? Why is the save not here? I know what I did. It should be here. My past should be staring me in the face. But it wasn't there. Undertale had given me a clean slate, a fresh start, a second chance to do what I couldn't 10 years ago. Save everyone and never look back. From the moment I realized that, all the way at the very start of this playthrough, I knew what I had to do, and I couldn't pass it up. This would be my final time playing Undertale. Despite everything, it's still you. Hell yeah, it is. Filled with determination, I trudged onward through New Home. I didn't care I wasn't gonna experience everything Undertale had to offer. It didn't matter to me. The monsters I had saved throughout my entire journey regaled me once more with the tragic story of the first fallen human and Asriel, the prince of the underground and child to Asgore and Toriel. I was reminded for the final time of how these two became like siblings, only to eventually die in the same night. Wrought with grief, Asgore declared that any human who fell down would be killed. And with enough human souls, the barrier trapping monsters underground would be shattered. The monsters, not knowing I was human, asked me if I was happy because we were all going to be free. Yeah, Yeah, you are. Before I knew it, I had arrived at the last corridor, where Sans awaited me to judge my actions. EXP was revealed to be execution points, and LV was level of violence. I had gained neither, and for the final time, made Sans extremely proud.
No matter the struggles or hardships he faced, you're strapped to do the right thing.
It was time to finally face Asgore, the king of monsters and a grieving father. A man so convinced he isn't worth it, he destroys the mercy button. The battle with Asgore is still a conflicting one for both parties. You have no option but to fight, as talking does nothing after a while. His attacks are reminiscent of Toriel's, as is the battle theme here. You can tell how much of a broken man Asgore is. He doesn't even attempt to dodge your hits and is constantly looking down in shame, his face covered by the shadow of his crown. With enough attacks, Asgore eventually falls, telling us of how he regrets his actions and the promises he made. Toriel left him because of what he did, and now all Asgore wants is to see his wife and kids again. Our mercy button appears once more, pieced back together. A glimmer of hope shines in his eyes before Flowey appears and kills him, absorbing all 6 of the human souls and becoming a god. Flowey crashes your game and you come back to a completely different save file. Still, just as creepy as it was 10 years ago.
Howdy, it's me, Flowey. But you already know that, don't you? Golly, it's been a while, hasn't it? 10 years sure is a long time, but so is 47 minutes. Are you enjoying his video? I know I am. That idiot really thinks he's the only one that gets to talk? Well, not this time. Don't worry, I won't stay long. I'm as eager to hear him talk about me as you are. I just wanted to let you know I'll be watching. I'm everywhere.
Things only get creepier when Flowey destroys your save and reveals his final form. Arguably the best representation of an eldritch, godlike horror I've ever seen. Omega Flowey. In a game made of pixels, Omega Flowey is made of HD images, a stark contrast that is still so effectively unsettling. His boss battle is just as creative, making save files at random and loading them later on to catch you off guard. No matter how hard you try, you can't even fight back because he takes no damage. It's the very definition of meta and fits Flowey's whole shtick of knowing he's in a game. Which makes it all the more surprising when one by one, the human souls he absorbed begin to retaliate against him. For the final time, the tides turn against Flowey.
We are here with you.
We're with you now.
We're with you until the end.
We got you. You're not alone in this.
We're with you, partner.
Even now, no line in this whole game is as motivating as Flowey's defense dropped to 0.
Flowey's defense dropped to 0. Here we go.
The world refused to exist, but my determination didn't. It was time for the first step in saving everyone. Be a god at his own game.
Stay focused. Remember why you're here.
This is what you've been waiting for. Go for it.
Keep pushing forward.
You got this. Don't worry.
Kick his ass, dude.
He's on the run now. Don't you dare give up.
No!
「
just like I had time and time again, over and over. Despite everything Flowey had done, I spared him anyway. Only for him to run away in utter confusion because he just couldn't understand compassion. The screen went dark, and for the last time ever, the fake-out ending began with a phone call from Sans and all the characters we became friends with. At the end, Flowey appeared once more, speaking directly to us, the player. He's weirdly honest and reveals we can get a better ending by simply loading our save and going to Alphys. In his words,
It seems like you could have been better friends. Who knows? Maybe she's got the key to your happiness.
Suddenly, there I was, thrown back in time as if the fight with Asgore hadn't happened yet. This was it, the final stretch. I was going to change the future one last time. I turned away from the barrier, headed backwards to the castle, new home, and the core, arriving outside MTT Resort where my phone rang with a call from Undyne. The letter for Alphys, that's right! I trudged through Hotland, traveled all the way to Undyne, brought her letter to Alphys, took part in shenanigans, and got them to confess their mutual love. Things were set in motion, but this wasn't the end. There were demons yet to have been faced. The True Lab, an area unlike any other, filled with disturbing secrets and a constant nagging feeling that we shouldn't be here. The True Lab, even as an adult, is still the creepiest area in Undertale, and like I said earlier, completely makes up for the faults of Hotland. It was the only place I didn't really remember anything about, and now, for the final time, I wandered endlessly through the labs, read through Alphys' journal entries, and faced down her experiments. The Amalgamates. Undead monsters who had melted into each other. I discovered the VHS tapes of Asriel and the Fallen Human, who bore the name we typed at the start of Undertale. The tapes revealed the Fallen Human planned to die, so Asriel could absorb their soul. He didn't know what was going on and just blindly followed along. But the most damning secrets of all were the final journal entries of Alphys, detailing her experiment with putting a soul into a flower that had grown in the same spot Asriel died, only for it to vanish. Alphys created Flowey, and Flowey is Asriel, the king's dead son. A twist that 10 years later still gives me chills, especially when we enter the elevator to leave the True Lab and get a phone call from a voice we've never heard before.
Are you there? It's been a long time, hasn't it? But you've done well. Thanks to you, everything has fallen into place. See you soon.
This was it. It was time to secure my final, true pacifist ending. I entered the castle once more, fate itself having been changed. I stared Asgore in the face, only for Toriel to appear and save me in the exact same way she did at the start of Undertale. She confronted Asgore before Undyne appeared, followed by Alphys, then Papyrus, then Sans. Even Metaton showed up, but at the last moment, so did Flowey, already having consumed the human souls like he did before. He didn't want us to beat the game, he wanted to keep playing, even if it meant killing us forever. The exact thing I did a decade ago. This was my chance to make up for it, save everyone, and never look back. Out of everyone here, there was only one person left.
Finally. I was so tired of being a flower. Howdy. Kara, are you there? It's me, your best friend.
Oh my god! Oh my god. It has been so long
since I've heard hopes and dreams. This has been genuinely 10 years.
After everything I had done, here I was. A whole decade and an entire second chance later, I was in the exact same spot I was as a kid, playing one of my favorite boss battles in one of my favorite games at the precipice of my favorite ending in gaming. To say it was bittersweet was an understatement. I genuinely hadn't been here since I was 11 years old, and this was the last time I'd ever experienced fighting Asriel Dreamer, god of hyperdeath. So I soaked in everything as much as I could. The art, the story, the music, and enjoyed it more than I ever had before. God, dude, this is so sick. Oh my god. I locked in on Asriel's attacks, barely dodging his swords, stars, shocker breakers, and his chaos busters. Still as hard to dodge as I remember. I was taking damage, but I kept holding on. I still had hope. But I started to slip up. Hit after hit, I was taking damage and losing my focus. I wasn't healing when I should have been because I didn't care. I was just genuinely enjoying the moment, smiling from ear to ear. 2 HP left and I still didn't heal. All it took was one hit and I was out. But after 10 years, it still refused.
Oh my god!
I came back stronger and more determined than ever. Nothing but a smile and pure joy on my face. This was it. Save everyone. Never look back. I hoped, I dreamed, I maneuvered the best I could and yet still died again. But it didn't matter. No matter how many times I failed, I would always come back. I was filled with determination. I kept holding on, and Asriel, still wanting to purge the timeline and keep the game going forever, used one of his most powerful attacks.
Oh my god, that's right, I forgot about this attack. No, I refuse.
And I survived that one too. It was time for the second phase. Asriel turned into his final form, the absolute strongest being in the universe, and yet still just looked and acted like an edgy character a kid would make. Now all I could do was struggle, and so I did. He attacked with beams of rainbow energy, and I died again. I came back, struggled once more, and died again. I struggled, and nothing happened. I couldn't save myself, and I couldn't save the game. But with the little power I had, just like I did a decade ago, I could save something else. For the final time, the act button turned into the save button. I didn't start this fight alone, and I wouldn't end it alone. Just like they had saved the lives of so many Undertale fans, it was my turn to save the characters I had grown to love once more. Sans and Papyrus were the first, followed by Undyne, then Alphys, and finally, the ones that saved the original fallen human, Asgore and Toriel. Now all that was left was someone else. Someone who was there from the very, very start.
Dude.
The cutscene from the very first second of Undertale was only one half, and this was the other. The kid in the cutscene wasn't us, it was the first fallen human, and this is who Asriel really is. Not an unkillable god of hyperdeath, but a kid who offered a hand to help. A kid who became a brother who was now just scared and alone. I was a complete mess again, and it only got worse. Asriel's attacks faded from rainbows and chaos into flames that just couldn't hit me. Exactly like Toriel's, all the way back at the ruins. His facade of edgy anger shattered, and all that remained was the scared, lonely kid who just couldn't handle their sibling dying and believed that we were them. All he wanted now was to just win, but I couldn't let him. I didn't make it this far just to give up at the end. Just like I had as a naive kid, for the last and final time actually realizing what was going on, I chose to save Asriel from himself.
Oh man.
This moment is the core belief of Undertale. Someone who had done so much unfathomable evil was still worth saving and forgiving because they were just scared, numb, and alone. Despite everything, it's still you. In his last moments, Asriel undid his damage, broke the barrier, and our character's real name was revealed. Frisk. A name I had almost forgotten because of how long it had been and how much bullshit was associated with it. But a name I was happy to see nonetheless. For the last time ever, I gave Asriel a hug goodbye, and in return, he gave me his final wish. To take care of his mom and dad for him. This time, I promise I will. We awake surrounded by friends, barrier no more, and are given an opportunity by Toriel to go back through the entire underground and say goodbye to every monster we met. This was a moment I took for granted as a kid. So much so, I don't even remember doing it. So for my final time, I took it slow. I spent over 2 hours just wandering the underground, interacting with everyone and everything possible. I discovered so much I never knew existed, but I think I'll keep it to myself. So maybe you have a reason to play the game like I did. There is one thing I want to share though. Waiting all the way where we first fell down and began Undertale is Asriel, where we can have one last conversation before he turns back into Flowey. A conversation I never had as a kid. He tells us he's choosing to stay underground because when he reverts forms, he doesn't want his parents to grieve all over again. The rest of the conversation goes beyond the narrative of Undertale, and Asriel tells us the world out there isn't as nice as the underground. There's a lot of Floweys, and we can't solve every problem by being nice. Simply put, don't kill, and don't be killed. It's the best we can strive for. It's a conversation that resonates louder now than it would have when I was a kid. It's idealistic yet tragically real. Everyone gets a happy ending except Asriel. Afterwards, I turned around and began my trek back across the underground to end things once and for all, where I got to thinking, what does Undertale mean to me now as an adult? As I walked through the entire world, reliving memories I had just made, as well as those I had forgotten, I pondered what my answer could be. Have hope, be kind, stay determined. These were all core fundamentals of Undertale, but something was missing. I walked through the ruins, Snowdin, Waterfall, Hotland, the core, and New Home, genuinely racking my brain trying to figure something out. The whole time, I found myself saying goodbye to everything I passed. It was hard to think about what the game meant when after this, I'd literally never touch it ever again because I love it that much. I could still barely fathom that, and when I arrived back to where everyone was waiting for me, I couldn't stall any longer. This was it. Save everyone and never look back, right? As I interacted with the final door, tears beginning to form, I read a piece of text that got me thinking. I'm ready. Oh man. For a decade, I thought this was a sunset. It makes sense for the end of a game, but now I realize it's a sunrise, the beginning of something new. As I broke down in tears for the final time, watching all these characters I loved run off and begin their new lives, it suddenly clicked. In 2016, the Undertale fandom began its takeover of the internet. People created fan fictions and alternate universes because we couldn't fathom the concept of letting the characters go, despite Flowey literally telling us to at the end. We reset their happy ending over and over, only to play with them like Flowey had threatened to with us because we wanted to see everything. Every line of dialogue, every path, every piece of content. Undertale, a story about kindness, hope, and staying determined through anything, was reduced to content, meant to be consumed and endlessly regurgitated. So much to the point that there was no Undertale left because there was so much of it. What made it special was gone. All that remained was an overly weird and toxic fan base that lashed out at anything slightly against the grain, even threatening people who didn't play Undertale the right way. And while things have calmed down considerably since 2017, I still think we, the fandom, missed the point of Undertale. Yes, you should have hope, stay determined, and be a good person, but none of that matters if you can't move on. All the characters did, but we didn't. Even Asriel tells us to move on, and we still latched onto Undertale and never let go. It's the reason why I started that unfinished genocide run. Undertale was my favorite game, and I didn't want to say goodbye. I couldn't let go, even if it meant killing everyone just so I could stay a little longer. So after saving everyone, what does Undertale mean to me now? 10 years later, as an adult? Well, you know how people wish they could replay their favorite game for the first time? This was the closest I'll ever get to that. Just like when I was a kid, Undertale means the world to me again. I love everything about it, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Undertale hits harder now than it ever did before. If me yapping and sobbing non-stop didn't prove that enough. Now, with a fully developed brain, I'm actually able to comprehend what's going on and why this masterpiece of a silly game means so much to me and millions of others, even after growing up. It's a game about humanity, being kind, and letting go of preconceived notions. Those messages have only grown stronger as we've experienced more of the world, and much like the characters of Undertale, have undergone our own journeys. Because despite all the crap you've been through, despite everything you've done, despite all the ups and downs, despite everything, it's still you. After playing Undertale as an adult, I will never touch it again. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to. For the billionth time, even though they'll never hear it, thank you Toby Fox, Temmie Chang, and everyone else for making Undertale. I'm ready.